Hi friends, so this is your overview of class from today, Monday, November 9th. So we are about to get into a new unit. The 9 weeks is over halfway finished. And so we're going to review some things today before we start our new unit, and I'm going to go over some reminders, and then that's pretty much it for today. So if you watch this class, then you are done. If you attended class, then you are done. There will be a discussion board with chapter 10 from Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. So I've missed Avon. I know you've missed Avon. So if you want to catch up, you can check out the links in last week's assignment about Avon, or 2 weeks ago. Maybe I'll make a new one. Anyway, also I've noticed now that I'm in class that my hair is like, it's all like going one direction. Like this side is like very pretty and flipped out, and then this side is like, so I don't, anyway. So I'm easily distracted today. It's a Monday. All right, so these slides are also available under today's assignment, so or under today's page of information. So you can click through these as well after I'm done sharing them with you. So we will kind of skip through the Google Meet rules because this is a recording. You have a brand new reader's notebook for this unit, so just don't worry about your old one. Excuse me, make a copy of the new one, and then it'll be in your drive. So you want to change the name to something you'll be able to find. So you could change the name to like New Reader's Notebook. You could change it to November Reader's Notebook, or Unit 2 Reader's Notebook. You can leave it the title that it is as well. Just remember that it's going to live inside of your Google Drive. So once you open it for the first time and make yourself a copy, it will live in your Google Drive. And so there's no need to go and make yourself a copy every time. It will continue to be in your Google Drive. So I've been grading some of your assignments with plot practice, and it seemed like a lot of you were really struggling. Here's a couple things I wanted to say about that. First of all, I have provided you with a video recording of me going over plot a couple weeks ago, as well as notes that I created for you that look like this. About plot. I've put those notes in your new reader's notebook, but here's the thing. The notes are there to help you. And I can tell, excuse me, when I grade some of your assignments that you're not using those notes, you're not looking at them. Some of you actually, one second. Some of you actually wrote IDK for assignments that the answer was in the notes I gave you. So please use your notes, go back and reference them. That is what they are for. I am spending a lot of my time creating clear instructions for you, recording videos like this for you so that you understand what you need to do. And so when you don't use those things that are available to you, it's very frustrating for me. Imagine if you spent hours on an assignment and you turned it in, and that was like hours of your time you're never getting back. And then I was like, you know what, guys, I don't think I'm going to grade that. You would be so frustrated with me. And that's how I feel when you don't use the things that I've provided for you. It takes a lot of time for me. Even just making this particular video, for example, I taught an hour-long class today, and now I have to record this separate video for those of you who aren't here. So I'm taking the time out of my day to make this video so that you have access to the class even if you weren't there. So when you don't use it, it's a little frustrating for me that I'm taking my time to do something for you that you're not using. So just please use the resources that are available to you. However, outside of that little sidebar, I just felt like some of you were struggling with plot. So you do have these notes. I'm going to really quickly just go through them again. So plot is the structure of a story. Beginning, middle, and end, all the things that happen in between, those are the elements of plot. And so when you are thinking about plot, plot is just what happens in the story. The elements break it down into sections. So the first section is the exposition. And the exposition is literally just setting the scene for the story. The exposition is setting it up so that the story can take off. So the exposition is over when you can answer these questions. Where does it take place? When does it take place? Who is the main character? What is the conflict? Once you know the setting, the main character, and the conflict, the exposition is done. It has set up the story for you, and it is ready to take off. So with the exposition, with the setting, the when and where is very important. Sometimes the story will not tell you specifically where. So you'll just have to say in a city, in the country, on a farm, in a house. However, if the story tells you exactly where something is taking place, that is how you answer the setting. So, for example, in Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus, some of you said the setting was in school and in her house and at a theme park. Those things are technically true, but that's not the answer I'm looking for. The name of the theme park is Stagecoach Pass. The name of the state they live in is Arizona. So the story tells you specific information. You should note that specific information. With the time, if a story does not specifically tell you what year it is or what time period it is, and everything about it seems pretty normal, then it's modern times. So the way you would have answered your setting question on the practice segment with plot with Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus would be takes place in Arizona. That's what I was looking for more than school, home. It takes place in Arizona. I took Stagecoach Pass as well. And it takes place in modern times, so like now. Main character is Avon, and then there are supporting characters like her parents, her new friend Connor that we've met pretty recently, Henry at the ice cream shop, and the conflict is the problem in the story. A lot of you said that the conflict had to do with Avon not having arms. We'll come back to that. We're going to talk about conflict at the end. So, exposition, setting up the story, setting, characters, conflict. The majority of the story is rising action, and this is the easiest part because it's just the series of events that are leading up to the climax of the story. So just the normal things that are happening that are moving the story along is the rising action. It's the majority of the story, so it's pretty easy. God, my hair is so lopsided, y'all. Got it. It's like flat, pretty full. Okay, sorry. Like I said, Monday. So rising action is the majority of the story. Climax is the turning point of the story. The climax will always involve the conflict. Okay, there's going to be multiple little conflicts in a story. There's always one overarching big conflict, and the climax is going to tie into that conflict. So we talked about Harry Potter as an example in class today. And so in the first book, the conflict is he's hearing these weird voices, his scar is hurting, he doesn't know what's happening. Then he has to go down into the Chamber of Secrets to figure out what's going on. And the climax of the story is when he has to actually fight Quirrell, who has Voldemort attached to the back of his noggin. It's weird, but it is what it is. So that's the climax of the story, because all of that conflict, like my scar is hurting, like what is happening, is because Voldemort is attached to Quirrell's head. So the climax leads us to that moment in the Chamber of Secrets. No, in the Sorcerer's Stone, the Chamber of Secrets is where the basilisk lives. So you know that my brain is not together if I'm mixing up Harry Potter's. So that is the climax of the story in Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone if you're British, is that moment. So that climax is building, the conflict is building to that climactic point. And then everything changes after that. The climax, when it ends, the conflict is usually over or close to being over. So then you have the falling action, which is usually pretty short. And it's the fallout from the climax. So Harry Potter was wondering what was going on, whatever. He goes down into the place where the Sorcerer's Stone is, and there's Quirrell with Voldemort, and that whole thing happens. So there's a section of the story where Like, he wakes up from being knocked out and he's making sure everyone is okay, and they're telling him what happened. They're talking about what's going to happen with the Sorcerer's Stone from that point on and that kind of thing. That is the falling action. Things are starting to wrap up, things are starting to end. And then the resolution is the ending, the official ending. Everything is kind of tied up. And I do say for now, because if you're reading a series, you don't want all the conflicts solved at the end of the first book. Otherwise, why would you read the second one? You want to know what's going to happen. So you have to leave some things done. But the big major conflict of Quirrell and Voldemort, they are completely tied up at that point. And then it's setting you up for book 2 and then the next conflict in that story. So when we talk about characters, when we talk about Avon and insignificant events in the life of a cactus, some of you said that the antagonist was Avon's arms. And I understand what you were kind of going for there. I do. However, Avon's arms don't exist, and they've never existed. She was born without them. So they can't be the antagonist because they don't exist. But the antagonist does not have to be a person. It can be a thing. So the main character is the protagonist. So whoever the main character is, whoever's telling you the story, that's the protagonist. The antagonist is whoever or whatever is against the protagonist. Sometimes it's the protagonist as well. So the protagonist can be the antagonist. If it's mostly internal conflict, I was talking in class about the book that Kennedy recommended to me, which is The Thing About Leftovers, which is an amazing book. It's so good. So most of that story is internal conflict. Honestly, the antagonist is also the protagonist. She's in her own head the whole time. She's worried about how her new stepmom sees her, how her new stepfather sees her, how her parents see her. Like, everything is in her head. So she's the antagonist and the protagonist. In this case, Caney, I believe, in class said that he thought the antagonist was like society and the world, because Avon is struggling with not her fact that she doesn't have arms. She's actually okay with that. She's struggling with other people's perceptions of her. So the other people in the community and the society are the antagonist. I'll totally accept that. So, and it's not always simple. As long as you can give me a reason why, give me textual evidence to support your opinion. If it makes sense, that works for me. Conflict is the problem. And I use the term person. I really should have used the term character. So character versus self is, like I said, with the main character in The Thing About Leftovers, where it's all about her dealing with her own issues. That's in her head, internal, person versus self. External, person versus person, or character versus character, where you have the main character against another character in the story, either physical conflict or they're arguing all the time or that kind of thing. Person versus nature, a tornado hits, it's a hurricane, they're trying to survive in the wild. Person versus society would be the government or the world at large. So similar to what I said earlier about Caney's example about Avon. So we did run through really quickly this story we've already done with Otto's violin. We talked about the setting. I provided the text for you for this story, and it tells you that it's in Catayura, Paraguay. And the time period is pretty recent, so you could say modern day. That's the setting. The main character is Otta, and that's pretty easy to tell. And the conflict is that they live in a really poor place, and they don't have access to what they need, especially extracurricular things like orchestra. So then you have the rising action. The climax of the story we talked about in class was when they go on tour with Metallica, their big tour towards the end of the book. Everything else is leading up to that, because if the conflict is that they don't have what they need for an orchestra, then the climax is actually that they figured it out, they solved it, and they were successful. So then falling action is very short, and the story ends, it resolves itself in the resolution by tying up those loose ends and saying, you know, the orchestra is still going on. They realize that they could make something beautiful out of trash and kind of setting the mood there. The conflict in the story is a rough one. It's not always easy. But this is also, I think Elijah said character versus nature, and I can kind of see that because their situation kind of leans itself that way with the nature of their town. And then I believe Caney said that he thought it was also person versus society because the book is about poverty, and poverty is a societal issue and a community issue and a state countrywide issue. And so I can see that as well. Again, if you can support it with textual evidence, you can kind of say whatever as long as you have evidence to support it. So the unit we're moving into is a deep study of character. And the reason I keep beating you over the head with plot is if you don't understand plot, you can't understand how characters play into the plot. And this is pretty much our unit. So we'll be focusing on characters and how authors create them and how authors kind of show us what kind of person those characters are or what kind of character they are. How different genres have different kinds of characters. So the typical kinds of characters you'll find in a fantasy novel are different from those you might find in a mystery, for example. How characters change throughout a story, how a character's traits can affect a story, how other parts of a story affect a character. So the character can affect the story, but the story can also affect the character. And then mood, tone, and theme of a story. So those are the kinds of things we'll be looking at in this unit, just so you have an idea of what's happening next. Here's the part where I beg you, especially those of you watching this video, because all of you don't come to my class. You're not in the live session. It's different in a live session. It is. I do the best I can to replicate it, but I'm talking to nobody but a camera. So it's different. You don't get to hear the answers to the questions that students give or the questions that they ask. You don't get to experience any of that. So it's different. I wish you would come to the live class. But when you can't, here we are. So here's my overview. Please watch this if you miss it, because it's important. Please read the instructions and watch any videos provided before you start an assignment. Please. Make sure you've done the assignment correctly before you turn it in. It takes me a long time to grade assignments that are done incorrectly. I leave comments, I try to write responses to you and tell you what you need to do to fix it. It takes a long time, and most of it could be avoided if you just read the instructions or watched the video. We're here in November. I've been your teacher for 2 solid months now. It's getting old, man. Just read the instructions. Ask me if you need help. I'm happy to help you. But a lot of you don't. You don't watch the videos, you don't read the instructions, and then you don't ask me for help and you're just failing. And I'm trying really hard. So please do those things. New rule. If you want to redo or resubmit an assignment, you have to fill out this form. It is already available for you in the info and things you might need module, or you can just click the need help button on any of your home pages. It's going to go through these things with you, and I want to walk through them with you because I walk through it with students in class. So you put your name, you choose the assignment that you would like to redo or turn in if you have not done it at all. If the assignment is not on this list, it is not available to be redone. They only appear here once they are closed. So like the assignment that's due tomorrow closes next Tuesday. So it's not going to be on this list yet because you can still do it. The assignment from last Thursday won't close until this Thursday. So I went ahead and put it on there, but technically you can still go in and do it. So then it asks you, each assignment's available for a week, so why couldn't you do it? You have to answer one of these things. I did not manage my time well. I forgot. I was working on assignments for other classes. I would like for you to contact the teacher to discuss the amount of work they are giving. So this is for if you genuinely have too much to do in other classes. I will contact your teacher. I will not let you redo the assignment until I have contacted your teacher. Because this is only for people who genuinely need me to do that. You need to be better managers of your time. If you know I'm going to contact your teacher and they're not going to tell you that they're giving too much, then just admit to not managing your time well. I'm struggling. I would like to schedule a Google Meet with you to ask for help. So I get it that you're struggling, but before you redo this assignment, you have to actually meet with me and ask for help on what you're struggling with. So don't say you're struggling unless you are actually struggling and would like assistance. I didn't attend your live class this week and found the work complicated. I have watched the video you recorded of the class and didn't understand. I would like to schedule a Google Meet with you to go over the lesson again. So again, you're not going to get out of this just saying, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, why don't you know what you're doing? Let me meet with you. Let's have this discussion. Let's talk about it. Some of you, I have never seen your face. I don't know what you look like. You've never been in live class. You've never scheduled a Google Meet with me. Some of you don't even do the assignments. I don't know who you are. I don't know how to help you, but I really want to help you. I do. I really do. But you got to help me help you. You got to tell me what you need. You have to ask me questions, respond to my messages, respond to my comments on your work. Okay. So, then you'll have to answer the questions. Are you willing to complete an alternative assignment that is different but still covering the same content? Then you have to let me know if you submitted anything before it was due. Remember, if you turn it in before it was due, even if you end up getting a bad grade on it, you can redo it as many times as you want. If you didn't turn anything in before it was due and you'd like to submit something, or you submitted a screenshot of the assignment page and didn't actually do the work, that doesn't count. So then you would only be allowed to redo the assignment once, and the max you could get would be a 90 if you didn't turn it in on time. If you did turn it in on time and you just didn't do it well, you can redo it over and over. So that is already available right here. Let me move myself. So 2 places, you can go to modules and then the info and things you might need, or you can just click need help, the need help module. Oh, it's all wonky right now. I'll fix that after. It doesn't do that on my computer at my desk, so technology, right? So this is the current week's assignments. Always right underneath info and things you might need, application to redo or resubmit an assignment. There's this thing that's always been here, or you can request a conference with me if you would like to ask me questions. I'm available to you. I really am. I want to help you. All right. So don't forget, we're screenshotting our reading logs each week. If you need any help with what to do with reading logs and Flipgrids, you can click right here. There's videos and instructions for each of those things. And then there's an overview of the week. If you have watched this, you are done. Chapter 10 is going to be posted for insignificant events in the life of a cactus if you would just like to listen. We're not doing anything with it today. It's just the next chapter, but make sure that you are caught up with that. If you are not caught up, you can scroll down to, was it last week? Yeah, you can go back to last week, click Let's Get Back to Avon, and that will take you to all of the chapters I have read, and then today's will be posted under today. There is no iReady assignment on Wednesday because it is Veterans Day, but I have decided to allow you to make up iReady assignments if you would like to do some this week, since you don't have one scheduled for this week. So for every 2 lessons that you pass in this week, so today, November 9th, through Sunday, November 16th. Anyway, so today through Sunday, if they are dated in that window and you pass them, for every 2, I'll replace one of your zeros that you've earned for iReady with a 90. So you can't earn a full 100 for it because you didn't do it at the right time, but you can make those up this week and this week only. They only count for iReady assignments. So as always, if you need me, ask. Please check your Canvas modules because everything you need is there. I've put everything there. I'm really trying to help you. So if you need me, ask. It's the only way I'm going to know that you need anything. All right. Have a good week. See you Thursday.